Good afternoon. Another day working on the 79 FLH. Now we're going to work on the front end of the bike and get this rotor replaced. Obviously this rotor has issues. This thing is cracked, it's broken, it's in real bad shape. There's no fixing this beast, so we're going to replace it. We're going to swap it out today. I do have brake lines on order, or the rear brake line on order for this bike, and the hardware that I need to button up that rear caliper. I'm going to run the front brake line. I feel like that one's in good shape, at least for now, just to get it on the road and get this thing tested out. My main thing is trying to get this thing running and riding so I can take it up and down the road, stretch its legs a little bit, and kind of see how it does. That will give me a good idea on what to do next with this project. So today we're going to focus on getting this rotor off and swapped out with I have a different used one. It's on the floor here. It's actually a drilled rotor, and I believe this will work really well. It's in real good shape. It is nice and square or flat, so I'm not concerned with that. I feel like it's going to actually dissipate the heat a lot better than these flat rotors do, and I think it's going to do a little better for the bike in the long term. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this axle loosened up first, and from there, then we'll go ahead and we'll drop out this rotor. I did jack the bike up, so of course the front wheel does spin. And I've got the bike secured on the stand. Anyway, let's get after it. Let's get this project going for the day. It's not often that these axle caps actually come off with any kind of ease. Thankfully, this one actually had a slotted screw in it, and it was easy to remove, so I'm super grateful for that. Usually there's an Allen head in there, and they're just stripped out or rotten, or totally rusted shut, and you just have to pound these things off. This one actually came off really nicely. So now that I've got that axle loose on that side, I'm going to go ahead and loosen this nut here, and once I have this loosened, then I should be able to rotate the wheel and get this rotor off. Now with the axle ready to be removed, I'm going to go through and undo each one of the bolts here that are holding the rotor in place while I can spin the wheel freely. Now with the axle removed and the hubcap from the other side removed, I should have just enough room to push the wheel away from the leg here and be able to shimmy this rotor out of place. Not sure if you guys actually saw my previous video, but you can see this thing is split clear through. I'm not sure how long this had been this way, and honestly the rotor on the back side looks like it was a replacement piece. I don't see any Harley Davidson markings, so I'm going to assume this is aftermarket. It was probably a bad cast, I don't know. I've never seen one split before. I'm sure you guys have probably seen this in the past, or someone else has had some sort of a run-in with a split rotor, but for me this is a first. From there we'll put on our replacement rotor. I feel like the tire of this bike was replaced recently. This is actually a good looking front tire. It doesn't have a ton of wear on it. It actually has a lot of the little rubber nipples on the sides. So I'm assuming this is fairly new. There's no weathering on it, and I actually think the front tire is in good shape, good enough to run for a while. Rear tire obviously is not in good shape. That thing is shot. It's weathered really bad. It's starting to separate around all of the letters. So unfortunately that one's gonna have to be replaced, but I think I only have to do just the rear, not the front. With the rotor in place here, I'm going to put my blue Loctite on these studs and reuse these. I wish I would have had a front and rear rotor that matched, because I do like this drilled rotor. It's a good look. Actually brings a little different look to the front of the bike, and I think it would look nice on the rear as well. I'm not sure what these are off of, but as far as the diameter and the thickness, they're the same as a stock one. So that's why I chose to use those, or this one I should say. The rear one is a stock rear rotor from 1979 as well. At least the part number signifies 1979. With those on place, I'm going to go ahead and snug them up. All right, now I'm going to lower the bike down just enough to be able to push that axle straight through. All right, we're going to bring the bike back up to where the front wheel will rotate again. I just wanted to check all my clearances just to make sure that nothing's rubbing, everything's where it should be, and everything fits nicely. In measuring, it looked like everything was going to be fine, but I just wanted to make that check because everything is very close here. It's all within a pretty tight tolerance, and I don't want to run the risk of running the rotor itself into the fork leg and then peeling off the back side of this. So with that in the right spot, we'll go ahead and start reassembly on the axle here. We'll tighten up that cap on the other side. All right, now with the axle cap and everything tightened up on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and tighten up this axle nut. And from there, we'll work on getting the caliper put back in place. Now with the axle nut tightened, we'll just check it for fitment one more time, give it a spin. Now that everything's in place, make sure nothing's hanging up. It seems like everything is good there. So at this point, we're going to put the caliper back on. I do have some fresh pads, so we're replacing the stock pads that were on there. They're real smooth, and I know that they have .5 on them, and I'm not sure if that will actually grind off or if that's permeated the whole pad, so I'm not even going to take the risk. I'm just going to take these out, we'll toss them in the trash can, and that'll be the end of that. With my stock caliper here, we'll go ahead and we'll thread that in place. Once I get my rag taken out of the fender here. I'm sure that's not necessarily the right way to put those on, but I figured that's the easiest way rather than taking the whole line off. At some point in time, the lines will get replaced. Maybe not the front one, but the back one for sure will. I'm not gonna Loctite these in place because I'm not sure I'm going to keep this caliper on here. For now, I'm just gonna make use of it. It may get swapped out in the future. But for testing purposes, I feel this is a good caliper to use for now. I don't have everything tightened down, but there is a little bit of up and down play here. And I know these are supposed to float, but I guess I'm not sure what the tolerance level is. That's something I do need to figure out. Unfortunately, I don't have a good reference that says how much play should be on this caliper. If you guys know, feel free to drop a comment below and let me know. That'd be great. I always appreciate the input. As you can see, there's probably 1/8 of an inch of play on there. And again, I'm not sure if that's right or not. I'm not sure if that should move at all. I feel like it should. I don't feel like it should be totally rigid mounted because I know that calipers kind of float. All right, I've got the caliper back in place. I've got the new rotor on. Everything is all set. The front tire does still spin. Obviously, those brake pads will have to wear in a little bit. They are a little tight on there. This rotor is in really good shape. It does have some use on it, but I mean, I don't even feel a groove when I run my finger across it. So I'm thankful to have that fixed. I mean, obviously we've come a long way on the front end of this bike from a split rotor to a frozen caliper to a busted master cylinder. I do have to redo that master cylinder yet, and I have another master cylinder that I need to rebuild, and next week is the target date for that. I should have at that point all of the master cylinder parts, the rear brake line, the rear caliper bracket parts, so that way everything can be buttoned up there. Once those things are done, I may swap the exhaust and then run this down the road. I may run it down the road just like it is, just to see. But I did order exhaust gaskets to replace this this exhaust to a 2-to-1. So a couple things in the works, a few things on order. Once I have it running and take it up and down the road, then I'll figure out what my next steps are. The hope is that this bike will run down the road great and just need a couple of minor housekeeping type issues, and I'll be able to get those things buttoned up and then get this bike on the market. Obviously if not, then this bike will be a teardown and I'll part the whole thing out and sell off all the individual pieces to someone or someone's. Anyway, that's as far as we're going for today. I appreciate you guys watching and checking out this video. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any feedback, comments, or any suggestions, please feel free to drop a comment. As always, I appreciate you guys. We'll catch you next time.